right, home buyer horror story of the week. Okay, so my buyers and I, we've been working together for a little bit over a month now out here in these streets, okay? Streets, literally, looking for a home for them. And I just want you guys to know that it's not always going to be easy, okay? This home buying process, it doesn't get done in a 30-minute to an hour episode. This can take 30 days. Right now, we're at about like a month and a week or so looking for the right property. And here's the thing. We've won a couple of offers. Last week, we won an offer on a property that they loved, all right, because it was their particular, the property needed to meet some requirements. I like to say they're non-negotiables. They have some non-negotiables for their property as far as square footage, bedroom bathroom ratio, yard square space, for their dog and everything like that, and then proximity to work and school for the family. So that limited us to specific properties, as it should, right? So we find this property that seems like it's just going to be awesome. The offer review date was on a Tuesday or sooner. That's important because we were aggressive, and oftentimes markets like this one right now that we're existing in requires some aggression. So we decided to get after it. We wrote the offer on a Sunday above asking price and negotiated $20,000 in seller credits in there so they could take advantage of this loan program called a 2-1 buy down. Let me jump over here for a second. So essentially, in a nutshell, and talk to a loan officer to verify all this information. Okay, I used to be a loan officer for 4.5 years, so I can speak to it, but I would rather you talk to someone who currently carries that license. Okay, a 2-1 buy down is essentially allowing you to pay the interest that bank would have been accruing over those 2 years. You can pay that up front and then enjoy a reduced monthly payment for 2 years before it eases back into the 30-year fixed term that you'll pay for the rest of the 28 years should you pay the minimum amount owed per month on your home. So what we're able to do as real estate agents when we negotiate is negotiate you a seller credit up front so that you can enjoy that 2-1 buy down. So we essentially negotiated $20,000 up front from the seller, and then we added a little bit on there just to make the price point and the net proceeds of that sale juicy for them, and they loved it, right? So we're under contract, but here's the thing though. Check this out. They gave us a counter offer. So when you make an offer on a property, you're saying, hey, here's the price and the terms that I want to offer you for what you currently have that I want, which is this home. And then the seller can say, okay, and here's a counter offer. Maybe they're going to counter you on the price, or maybe they're going to counter you on the terms. This seller did not counter us on the price. They said, hey, I like that price that y'all giving us right there. But they did counter us on the terms. And so they wanted to shift a few things. And one of those things is they wanted us to increase our earnest money. And then they wanted to compress and decrease our home inspection time frame. So now that can be a common thing in a seller's market. They want you essentially to go through the property, make a quick decision, and know, hey, you're moving forward or you're not, so we can get this thing back on the market and we don't have to fight against the days on market deal. All right, so that's essentially what they were doing. So what that meant for my buyers is I always want my buyers to be able to have a home inspection and have enough time to be able to evaluate what's going on with this property. Do I really like it or do I not? And I've seen, during the pandemic buying time period when everyone's waiving everything and people are closing on stuff, I represented some sellers that bought their home during that pandemic where they waived everything and figured out that their septic system was actually kind of screwy. And so they had to invest some money up front to get that thing fixed and then pumped so it didn't become a negotiating item that would have worked against them during the sale of their transaction. So that's why getting that home inspection is so important. I don't care what people say. I don't care how competitive the market is. There's all different kind of ways that we can use as agents to negotiate a way to allow you the opportunity to get a home inspection. My home inspector is dope. All right, you've seen him in some of my other YouTube videos. He'll even offer a walkthrough. So like you pay for that service. However, he'll show up, he'll do a walkthrough and talk through the things that he sees in the property to the point where enough so like you can either make a decision on how comfortable you are with it or not. And then we can, write up that offer and then waive the inspection contingency. And now that creates some safety for the seller because they're like, okay, here's the price, here's the terms, and they're likely not going to negotiate any further on the property because they've seen everything that they need to see, which is great for them. It proposes less risk and makes your offer more appealing, okay? So that's one of the ways that you can still get that home inspection in there, even in a competitive market. But I always recommend get that home inspection because, and this deal that as I'm describing this to you, this story is going to be a big example as to why. So keep rocking with me, all right? So they gave us a counter offer. They reduced our inspection time. So I'm texting my home inspector at like 10 p.m. I say, hey, Aaron, do you have time tomorrow? It was a Monday. So I text him Sunday night, hey, you got time tomorrow between 10 a.m. 12 p.m. because that was what worked for my schedule, and I wanted to be present for the inspection so I can, learn all the ins and outs of what's going on in the property, be able to talk that through with my buyers, and then they wanted to be at the inspection as well. And he was able to squeeze us in, so we went mutual on Monday. We like 10 a.m. We had the inspection out there at 12 p.m. Listening, waiting around, walking through the property, talking about this, that, and the other. They're taking measurements, all that kind of stuff. So after about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, give or take, Aaron goes through the debrief with the clients and just talks them through the major items that he was able to see. And he pointed out 3 different important things in the property that he thought needed some attention. So for this property, it was a roof, a certain electrical system, a knob and tube. So that's an older way that homes were built. This was a 1958 build home, so it had a little bit of older systems in it. And there's one other thing. I think insulation in the attic was pretty old, and so he recommended that get switched out and updated as well. But yeah, roof, that's a big deal. That's a very, very important system. With real estate, the biggest thing you're fighting is water. You don't want water in the home. You want water away from the house because water will corrode and kill your property. So roof's obviously a major, major investment. So now we're in a situation where we want to he recommended a roof inspector come out and an electrician. So my goal is to make sure that I'm taking care of all that for my clients. I don't want them running around trying to find a roofer. I don't want you running around trying to find an electrician. That's my job as an agent, done for you service. I want to keep everything professional, sleek, simple, okay, like provide a Ritz-Carlton real estate experience for my clients. So between Aaron and I, we were able to dial in a roofer and an electrician to come out next day to evaluate the property. So we had our home inspection on a Monday, roofer and an electrician out there on a Tuesday, and then we're giving the seller our response to our home inspection by that Wednesday. And actually we had another roofer out there go out there Wednesday and then double confirmed, yeah, this roof is trash, we need to get this thing fixed. So we talked to the seller, after our home inspection response, we're asked for, hey, seller, can you fix this roof? Can you fix this electrical? Can you replace this insulation? Seller essentially says no. And I was like, wow, that's kind of crazy. So had this tip, and now this is where you can go wrong as a seller. Can you say no to a buyer? Absolutely, but we're above asking price. We're aggressive. We want the property. Why wouldn't you want to work with somebody like that? You know what I'm saying? That's really the major question. Why wouldn't you? Why would you say no? So you're about to find out why he said no in a second, though. Okay, now this gets crazier. So it says no, but then I'm like, all right, well, we figured out a way to negotiate down the purchase price, another 20 grand. And the buyers were going to figure out a way to take care of this roof out of pocket. So we wanted to justify the cost by making sure the purchase price came down so that they can figure things out on their end, right? And so we were almost through the finish line. This time we pretty much got verbal, talked to the listing agent up front, and I'm pulling this camera closer so it doesn't fall. All right, talk to the listing agent verbally so we can kind of come to a verbal agreement. That way we can get this thing done on the paperwork and then just keep moving forward, right? And everything was moving smoothly. They had a couple things they wanted to tweak in our response, and then this is where things got weird. The seller wanted my buyers to release $10,000 earnest money up front. And now we're like, whoa, we're just getting through a home inspection period and you want us to release $10,000 earnest money, like fully commit to this property? For what? That now they're essentially pushing a lot of risk onto the buyer, but for what? So then that's when things got weird. Buyers got hesitant and they're like, okay, let's do some research on this. So between the buyers, between myself, we discovered checked with the county assessor, the property did not, as it was marketed on the MLS, did not reflect what the county assessor had said. Now this can happen sometimes. The county assessor isn't always getting updated as quickly as the MLS gets updated. However, the issue here was that this was a 3.175 bedroom, and the county listed it as a 2.1 bedroom property. The county listed it at 1,293 square feet, and then it was promoted as a 2,000 square foot property. So now we're like, what's going on? So then I called the county and I asked them to give me a report out on permits that were done on the property. You would be surprised. We found out that this property had not had any permits pulled on it since 1990. I was able to discover that the seller took possession of the property in 1999. So all of the work that had been done on this property was unpermitted work. Now to you, you might be like, well, what does that even mean? Why do we care about that? Here's what this means. If you purchase a property with unpermitted work, and say you want to like make an addition to your kitchen or to the house, you want to do something different, maybe you need to fix the roof, right? Or something goes wrong, you want to fix something, or you just want to fix something. All right, you got to submit a permit to the county before you do any major improvements to the systems of the property. And if they discover, hey, your property doesn't look like what we have it looking like, let's go get an inspector out there to check to see if this thing is built up to code. Because their whole role is to make sure that all the properties in their community are built to a certain standard, so that as people are buying houses aren't just crumbling down for no reason. So someone's got to be the referee on that. That's their job. So they can send somebody out there and say, "Yep, this isn't built to code, this isn't built to code, tear it down." They can literally require you, if you do unpermitted work, to tear down what you did. Now, this thing is listed on the assessor as 1,293 square foot. It's listed as 2,000 square foot. So you do the math. That's what, 600 something, 700 something, possibly somewhere in there, square feet that could possibly be torn down. That's like a third of the house, right? So had we have gone forward, I mean, my buyers, I mean, they could have been screwed. And that, to me, is, one, it's disappointing to see from the seller's side. But two, I don't want to ever see my buyers enter that kind of risk or that kind of issue, because I see my people as clients for life. I want to serve them for life. I want to be a consultant to them for life. This is a big deal. This is a family thing. Like we are entering into familyhood together. You know what I'm saying? In my mind, anyway. You know, I want to be that guy. I'm pretty much an uncle. Okay, you use me as an agent. I'm an uncle. I'm an uncle to your kids now. All right. I want to be at the cookout. Okay, it's gonna be hard to be at the cookout if you got to tear down about a third of your house because something happened and something went wrong. All right. So essentially I had to make the listing agent aware of the situation, and I don't want to get into legalese and all this stuff. So pretty much made the listing agent aware, and the situation concluded in us rescinding and getting out. So we rescinded our offer, we got out of the deal. Bless the Lord, kept all of our earnest money, and my clients are actually now looking at 3 properties that they really like this weekend, which is I'm excited for. And I believe they always will find the right house at the right time. I truly believe that. But I want to share this story with you because, y'all, it's not easy, okay? It's not easy. It's not going to happen like that. There's going to be some delayed gratification sometimes when you're out here looking for a home. So I just want you to trust the process, trust that the right house will come at the right time. When your loan officer is asking for paperwork, get them the paperwork as soon as you can. Make their life easier so they can make your life easier. They're usually asking for paperwork because their underwriter needs something. They want to make sure your loan is up to date, up to par. Okay, all your numbers are looking good. All right, but we just got to be aware. We have to be aware. So lessons learned in this, at least for me, I'm checking, county assessor just to make sure I'm doing my due diligence on the property. I like to run a CMA before we make offers as well, just so I can determine, hey, what's average dollars per square foot in this neighborhood, and and how are price points trending. Is it like, in certain neighborhoods that we've been looking in, it's not abnormal for some of these properties to go 50,000 over asking price. We competed for 2 properties that went over 100K asking price. And so that was just kind of wild. So like, hey, what's the competition range? And that's usually going to inform the properties and the price points that we look at, and then also how we write the offer and how we compete. So it is a bit of a game, a little bit of an art and a science. And within this game, the main thing I hope you gather from this story is that there can be things that come up that you just don't expect. And so home inspections are massively important though. Find a way to make sure you make that happen in your transaction. and work with somebody that really cares enough about you to protect not just your present, but your future. Because this is a big deal. You're gonna be making a payment on this thing, you're gonna be living in this thing, you're gonna be raising your children in this thing, all right? This is a very, very big deal. Take that seriously. So that's my real estate home buyer horror story of the week. I intend to do more stories, either of my own or other agents that are within my brokerage or network, so that I can ultimately educate you, my friends, my people, my community. And so as you're thinking about buying houses or selling houses, you can have some information that will inform your process. So if you, here, buddy. So yeah, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, please let me know in the comments below. I am happy to make another video to dive a little bit deeper into anything that will help make things a little bit more easy for you as you're navigating the home purchase world. And this could be like, say, hey, maybe you want to buy the house in 2 months, maybe you want to buy the house in 12 months, 24 months, whatever it is. I'm here for you guys. So again, Jahleel Vester, local real estate agent, friend, confidant. Signing off. Like, share, subscribe. See you in the next video.